So we are almost ready to integrate OpenAI into our application. So let's talk a little bit about OpenAI and LLMs. Before doing that, I will argue actually two things. One, that is actually intelligent, and also that they are dumb. They are too dumb to be run unsupervised. So some people say that LLMs are not really AI, so they say that that is the so-called AI. And I mean, AI, it's like a whole science that involves other things, not only LLMs. But OpenAI, it's one of the things that lately has gained a lot of attention and focus, and that's why it's now a synonymous of AI. But AI, I mean, there are many definitions, and this has been in books, and people can dream about robots and stuff like that. So really, I won't go into the definition on AI, but really it just means that a machine that can learn and is intelligent. And LLM, on like how it works internally, they say that it's like a parrot. So it is just a probabilistic model that can determine what is the next word, or even the next letter after in a phrase. So for example, if you have the phrase "I am fun," it is probably very likely that the next word is going to be raccoon, right? I am a fun raccoon. So you can see this as a database, like a very complex database where it has like all these words and probability between those and vectors and stuff, but basically it just have like a whole list of probability of the words, and then they understand when it appears to be completed. So that's when they stop, or when you have a maximum number of tokens, which is like a words that they can throw. So they will argue that these models cannot really reasoning, cannot really do problem solving. They don't really think, right? And they don't learn. And I mean, it is true in a sense, they are just models, but also like we can get very philosophical about what it is intelligent, what it is learning, what it is reasoning, right? Like our brains also have like these probabilistic models, and we really are thinking what's the next action based on our experience. So we can get very deeply about that, and I am not an expert in biology or psychology or neurolinguistics or whatever, but my argument goes on the sense that this is a way of thinking, right? So I will argue that they cannot reason by themselves. It is not really something that is intelligent, but does it matter? Like if at the end what it is showing, it is something that can solve your input, right? So there is some kind of intelligence there to be able to show that, even if that intelligence is just a set of bits, right? I am not saying that it's a living thing. LLMs are far away to be a living thing, but there is artificial intelligence in the sense that is machines trying to generate something based in an input, or is trying to solve a problem, even if the way that solves the problem is very weird. Like GPT has the word transformer because in the beginnings they were not thinking that these models were able to solve the problem, that you needed to transform wherever they were outputting to something else. But at the end, they are very good to understand an input and have a solution, even if like the ways that they do it, it is not reasoning on a living thing. I mean, there are studies that says that chess players like eye movements reveal like recognition of patterns. So when you are learning chess, of course you need to be intelligent and have reasoning to learn the rules and everything. But when you go to a grandmaster, they just learn patterns. So that's why they can play faster, and they can make decisions based on those patterns. So the models, maybe they don't have reasoning, right? They are not living things, but they can understand patterns. And those patterns are based in human knowledge. I will say, and this is my argument, that these models were trained on like a whole thing, like books and Wikipedia and internet and all these features or all these artifacts that contains the intelligence of the human being in words. So in certain ways, they are intelligent because they can explain something, and that intelligence comes from the words. they cannot perform like tasks in the physical world. But if you connect an LLM to some like Raspberry Pi to do with some servos to move stuff, you can decide between A, B, or C, and they can just throw like one word like A, and then you can take that and then modify that and do something else, right? So this is important because it's gonna be the base for some of the things that we are code later. Like we are gonna work with these models to have an output that we can parse to do something else. It is not just like generative text that we want here. And they are dumb, right? So this is my second argument. They are not meant to run unsupervised, and we have several examples. Like Air Canada was ordered to pay for pricing mistakes around a customer service chatbot. I believe Chevrolet, it was like had a bot like that was offering like cars almost free. Like almost all the implemented ChatGPT bots, like they have something like a prompt injection. So, and then I think the New York Times, like there was like featuring for several days how Bing was trying to end the marriage of some journalists. And I mean, if you start talking with a bot for several days, like in February, in St. Valentine's Day, and then you were talking about dinner and stuff like that, it is not like the bot is intelligent or has feelings. It just means that the most probably word next is gonna be I am in love with you, right? So if you are talking with a person like for several days about romantic things, it is probably that the other person will just answer, if you read this in a novel, like that person loves you, right? So and that's what I mean, like all of this is based in fiction, but also in like documents that come from academia, and we cannot like discern what is true and what is false. So LLMs are not like you cannot trust them unless you are like super sure that the data model comes from training data that is like already facts. And even though they're like, you cannot be sure, like it is just a probabilistic method, right? So you cannot let those unsupervised. You need to have responsible AI, you need to have gateway mechanisms. LLMs and generative AI are meant to generate text, and they are meant to generate art or images or things like that. And we should just use them for that, but not for taking the final decisions, right? So we are gonna use semantic kernel, and semantic kernel supports itself OpenAI, Azure Open AI, and Hugging Face. So Hugging Face is like a community or marketplace of models, and you have their models that can run offline, like Google Gemma and Microsoft P, and many others, right? So semantic kernel supports that. So even though that I will use Azure Open AI, you can easily modify like the connection string to use other models. And then we have Ollama. So Ollama makes easier even to use this because it can download a model from Hugging Face, and then you can run that model in local. And it provides an API, and Ollama creates a layer. So it simulates like if you are talking to OpenAI, even though the model is running in local. So it's completely disconnected, completely free. I mean, nothing is free, of course. It's using your computer resources, it's using CPU, memory, electricity, stuff like that. But even though if you don't have like an Azure, or you don't want an Azure subscription, or you cannot pay for the OpenAI things, you can still use like this tutorial. Code Hanselman has a nice video about how to set up Ollama and LM Studio in Windows or Mac in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And it is about running a local AI chatbot, but most of that, it is just to run a local AI. So you can use that for this tutorial. So I mean, welcome, and let's just start coding.